Welcome to the very first episode of Ask Yew. Let's dive right into it with our first question. This is more of a tax question related to real estate. When you change your primary residence to rental, what do you need to do? The file forms to CRA. I think that might have been a typo. When and how to make election 2-3. Not sure what that is, but I think you're referring to 45-2. I had filed HST rebate myself using your video last year. I got it back in 3 months. Really appreciate the information in your videos. First off, congratulations on being the first person to ask a question on Ask Yew. I really appreciate you watching my previous videos, and I'm glad to hear that you successfully got your HST rebate back. That's awesome. It's actually quite simple, but many people don't want to sit through a 15-minute video. I've heard of people charging like $800 for this, so saving that money by learning it yourself is definitely worth it. Great job on taking the initiative. By the way, if you're interested in learning how to claim your HST rebate on a new construction property, you can click the link up here or find it in the description below. Now, on to your question, which is a great one, by the way. Many people don't know what an election is, so I'm sure this will be helpful to other viewers as well. But before I get into the answer, I just want to be clear that this is not tax or legal advice, as I'm not an accountant or lawyer. So I would highly recommend that you speak to your accountant, lawyer, or financial advisor about your personal situation. I've known people who have filed an election before, so this is from my personal experience and after consulting with my personal accountant. I will also have links in the descriptions to some of the resources you can read up on to get more details on the information that I will be providing to you. So, with that out of the way, let's get to your answer. When you change your property's use, the CRA treats it as if you've sold and repurchased it at market value, even if there wasn't an actual sale. This can trigger capital gains tax, but you can defer it by making certain elections. If you convert a principal residence to a rental or business property, you can file an election under subsection 45-2 of the Income Tax Act. This lets you keep the property as your principal residence for up to 4 years, but you must meet the 2 conditions. 1, you must be a Canadian resident and not claim any other property as your principal resident during that time. 2, you also cannot claim capital cost allowance, CCA, which is basically depreciation on your asset. You can extend the 4-year limit indefinitely if all the following 4 conditions are met, in addition to the conditions that I just stated. Number 1, you live away from your principal residence because your employer or your spouse's or common law partner's employer wants you to relocate. 2, you and your spouse or common law partner are not related to the employer. 3, you return to your original home while you or your spouse or your common law partner are still with the same employer or before the end of the year following the year in which this employment ends, or you die during the term of the employment. 4, your original home is at least 40 kilometers by the shortest public route, farther than your temporary residence from your or your spouse's or common law partner's new place of employment. If you make this election, there is no immediate effect on your income tax situation when you move back into your residence. However, if you change the use of the property again and do not make this election again, any gain you have from selling the property may be subject to tax. How do you make the election? To make this election, attach a letter signed by you to your income tax and benefit return of the year in which the change of use occurs. Describe the property and state that you want subsection 45-2 of the Income Tax Act to apply. This source is directly from the CRA website, which is in the description below. So to do this, it's quite simple. All you have to do is submit a letter to the CRA stating that you wish to make an election with your tax filing for the year. If it isn't filed during that period, you could pay fines and penalties. More details about this is in the description below. Here's a sample letter that was used to send to CRA so you can follow it. A couple of final notes. First of all, this election must be filed by the tax return due date for the year the change occurs. And secondly, you must report your rental income and pay taxes on it, which should be pretty obvious. Again, I strongly suggest consulting a tax professional who can guide you through this in more detail. Personally, I use one, and it's worth every penny. I hope this answers your question. Remember, if you have any other real estate related questions, ask me. Ask Yew. I'll see you in the next video.